How's it going, guys? In today's video, we will be demystifying the process of making your own custom animatable tools and changing uh, the default animation to your own custom animation of the tools that you've made. And we will be going through basically the rigging step, the not the animation step, but we will be importing the asset IDs to change these and have them change basically instantly. So yeah, let's get started. And I just want to say before I start, the example I used is kind of crouching. And in a way, you can add some more functionality to this and make this a blocking move that you can use in combat. But better yet, I use this myself in games with thousands of community members to make sheathing and unsheathing kind of switching set animations for combat. So yes, and if you already know a sort of process in the video, you can always just skip to any of the timestamps or any of the sections that I have in sort of the timeline below. All right, so the first part that we will do is actually rigging the player. So I assume that you already have the models that you want to put on the character set. And basically, the first step that we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the model and select which part we want to be as kind of the roots of the whole model. So for this, I have this shield, the little welding dots, and I have this handle. This handle is what I want to go on the character. So it's what I will name sort of its own separate name. And you want to make sure if you have two separate tools that you want to put on the character, you want to name them different things. So in my case, I'm not gonna have two tools on the same like limb. So in this case, I can get away with naming them the name of kind of the body part, and then to make sure like if someone sees this that this is the handle, we're just gonna put handle as the suffix right after that. So we're gonna import character first because that's what we want. The our character when we play is gonna be its own default character, so we want to rig it with that. And what I'm gonna use is I'm gonna use R15. So I found old I think old R15 uh kind of worked better for me. I'm not sure why, but I'll just go with that. And I'm using Moon Animator, by the way, for the character insert. I think there's also another plugin that you can use, but anything that will make a character appear, that's what we will use. So yes, we'll put this. You don't have to align it perfectly, but this is where you can see like, oh, this spear is too big, I'm gonna shorten it, or the shield is too tight, I'm gonna have to enlarge it. Like that's where you can make these changes and have it in reference to like an actual character. So before we actually put it onto the character, we have to make sure that the whole model in itself is welded together. You don't want it to fall apart. You want it to be stiff as one single model. And the way we do that is we have to weld it. So since we selected our kind of root part of the model, we're gonna uh, we're gonna use Moon Animator's Easy Weld. So if we click that, we are going to select our base part, and then on the other parts of the model that aren't the roots, we're gonna control, as it says here, and we're gonna click them. And then we want to this is very important, we want to make sure they are in place. If you don't select in place, it's gonna put everything like merging in between each other, and that's not good. And we are not I mean, for my case, I'm not really animating like the shield rotating or something, so I'm not gonna really click that. We just want to make a regular manual weld, so we just deselect that, and then we click join. And then once that happens, it's gonna create these two welds, and that makes, and that kind of gives you the guarantee that everything is together. And then you do the same thing with your auto model if you have one. But now that we've done that, we're gonna actually put it on the character. And the way we do that is we first open it up and we kind of go to the limb that the model is going to be attached to. So for this case, I want to attach the shield to this lower arm. So we make sure that our left and right is visible. So the left lower arm, this should be right here. Just look at it in the Explorer and click it. So left lower arm, and you want to make sure that you know where this is because we're gonna be selecting it uh, in 1 second. So to actually weld this together, uh, we click on left lower arm, so the body part that we want to connect, and then we click on the root part from your other model, so this one, and you see these two are highlighted now. So this is good. This is what we want. And then we can use Moon Animator's Easy Weld again, and we can this time we can actually click animatable, but we don't want it in place because we don't want the shield to be here. We want it to be like right on the limb. So this is good so far, and then we can click join, and now it's kind of welded together. But as you can see, the the weld is gone. It's like somewhere inside. I think it's too far in, or I think it's too big. Oh no, it's not rotated the right way. You can see it highlighted right there. So it's almost never gonna be welded the right place. It's always gonna be rotated some way. It's gonna be offsetted some sort of other way, and this is where it gets kind of tricky. It gets kind of trial and error because we're gonna put in these specific values to kind of rotate it. So we're gonna find the kind of weld that Moon Animator make, and it's this one, left lower arm handle, and you can see Roblox has an icon for this motor 6D weld, because a motor 6D is what we can actually animate, and a weld, no, it's not. So this is what we want. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that, and I'm gonna modify the values. So what we want to modify is C0, not C1. Do not modify C1, because C0 will animate the origin of kind of the no, it's just gonna offset it, right? C0 is just gonna offset it, but C1 actually modifies the origin that we have. So if, for example, this was a whole like one part and the origin was like right here, then you'd modify C1. But since my part is right here, we're gonna modify C0. We're just gonna add an offset to it. C1 modifies the origin, C0 modifies the offset. You keep that in mind. Okay, so we just established that the orientation is wrong. So we're gonna rotate one of these values 90 degrees. Now you can just work it out. I mean, you could like kind of predict like, oh, it might be the X or Y axis, but I mean, on my point in time, I just trial and error. So I just try 90 degrees for one, and whoa, that's perfect actually. That's exactly what I wanted to rotate as. But let's say if I didn't pick that one, I picked this one, I'd say, oh, that's wrong. I Control Z, and then I click 90 on the other one, that's wrong. And then turns out 90 degrees on the x-axis is right. So another thing I want to also do is I want to make this a little bit lower. Now, how do we do that? No, we do that with the position. So it's gonna be like I want to like 0.1 studs like below. So we're just gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna test random values until gets right. So that one's not right. That's left and right. This one's up and down. That's what we want. So instead of positive 0.1, I'm gonna do negative 0.1, and that's actually kind of good. And I also just noticed I think I want it a little bit to the right. So I think this one was to the right. So let's just do 0.1. Okay, the other way. And I think that's a little bit too much. I'm gonna just do, I think 0.05. Yeah, I think that's good. Actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit lower, a little bit more, and yeah, that's perfect for me. And now we basically do the same process with the sphere. If you don't want to watch this, you can skip it because it's just gonna be I'm just be highlighting the same part. But for this, I want it to be on the right hand. So I'm gonna go in the model, and I mean my character model, and I'm gonna click on right hand because that's where I want the spear to be. And then I'll make sure I have easy weld on standby, and I will control click on the right hand handle that I renamed. And that's good that I renamed it, because imagine if it was cylinder 0.003, I wouldn't know. Okay, so now we have that, and we want to make sure that it's not in place, because I don't want this beard to be like that. I want it to be like more centered. I want it to be like directly on it. And then I want to make sure that it's animatable, because I will most likely animate it like an attack animation or something like that. We want to make sure it's animated. So we're gonna join this. Now, obviously, the spear shouldn't be like sticking out of my right arm, so we're gonna have to modify it a little bit. So Moon Animator created this weld for us, or this Motor 6D joint, and we're gonna modify we're gonna offset it basically. So obviously the orientation is wrong, so let's just do 90 degrees kind of clockwise. So let's try the first value. That was actually the right way. We just have to make it go negative, so the other way, and that is perfect. Now this one is up for preference, but I don't really like how the handle is just like piercing through the hand, so I'm gonna just make him go down a little bit. So I'm gonna try 0.1. That was the right way. I'm gonna just do negative 0.1 on the y-axis. I'm gonna do a little bit more because I want to like halfway. No, I think that is pretty damn good. Now, if you have noticed, our shield and spear are outside of the model. If it's outside the model, if you try and animate, it's not gonna let you. It's not gonna register these two as part of this. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to put these two in our player. Now, once we do that, if we open up Moon Animator, or I'm gonna just because I don't want to do all that, I'm gonna just open up the clip editor and then click on my character. And this is Roblox's own animation editor. But if we rotate a limb here, we will see the spear moves with it, and if we move the left arm, the shield also moves with it. And since we ticked on animatable, we can animate these parts specifically. And then we can also animate this, but I probably won't be doing that. And yes, so that is all for the rigging. Once you make your animations, or if you already have an animation, I will go into the next section where we will be scripting this together. So I'll see you then. Okay, awesome. So I've left out the part of me making the animations, but I have uploaded these animations right here in this folder, and you'll wanna make sure that the animation priority is right. Okay, so a run and walk animation should have the movement priority. The idle should have the I think it is just called idle priority. And you want to make sure these are looped. If these aren't looped, you're just gonna go into like a T pose after animation's done, and that is no good. So, and if you don't know how to do that, I think if you go into the clip editor, and let's say we have that, if you click on the three dots, you can have set animation priority, and that's there. And if you want to loop it, this one is not a button. I mean, this one's not in the three dots, but it's actually right here. It's the little circle to the right of I guess to the left of the timeline. So yeah, okay. So let's start scripting. Let's first start scripting the idle and walk animation. I think that is the easiest. So how should we do that? I think that's so tricky, and it's actually really easy. So we're just gonna play test, and this might be weird, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna steal kind of the work that Roblox has done for us. So if we go into a workspace while we're playtesting, and then go to our character right here, we have an anime script. This is Roblox's like own kind of solution for making animation. And you see, like I don't really want to spend a whole video writing 1,000 lines worth of code just for animation. Like we're not gonna reinvent the wheel. Okay, we're just gonna add on to this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and then we're gonna copy. And then since now that we have that copied, we're gonna stop the simulation. And then we're gonna go to starter player right here on the right. And then we're gonna go to starter character scripts. Now we're gonna paste our script that we just made. And then we're not gonna mess around with anything inside the script yet. What Roblox has done is if you go under the enemy script, you have the sort of values that kind of has the animation ID that the default animation ID that your avatar has. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this run, and then we're gonna look at this walk, and then we're gonna look at this idle. These are the animations we care about the most. If you have a jump animation and a fall animation, you should add that too. But right now I only have walk and idle. So right now I have the uncrouched animation IDs. So I'm gonna have the walk animation. I'm gonna paste that here. I have the run animation. I'm gonna paste that here. And basically the same thing for the idle. We're just gonna copy and paste it onto these animation IDs. Now, if we play, you're gonna notice something. We obviously we don't have like the tools yet. We're gonna script that, but I have a block animation and like it's not playing. It's always gonna play the run animation, and the reason why is because Roblox has like the walk animation only play if you're going like really slow. Actually, it might not even play at all if I go to like a low walk speed. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna script that first. We're gonna script the walk and run animation. So before we do that, we're gonna do like a shift to sprint. So we actually have like a change in walk speed. So I'm gonna add another script. It's gonna be a local script because we're modifying the player directly, or the character directly. I'm just gonna call this, I guess we're gonna call this input handler, and then we're gonna first reference players, and actually I want to make this a bit bigger so you can see it. And then we're gonna go get the player so we can get the character. And we don't have to wait because in the character script, so the script is already put when the character is loaded. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we also need context action service, and you can follow along, but if you require that you have at least a little bit experience so you know what's going on. But I'm gonna bind an action. This will be my sprint. Oops. Sprint input, and then we're gonna do sprint as a name. I'm gonna put in the function, and we don't want a button, and it's gonna be whoops, make a that's funny. We want the left shift. Oh, that is a little bit weird. And oh yeah, it's because I didn't close the function. Okay, what do we need to modify the walk speed? We need the humanoid. This one we might actually want to wait. And then okay, so what I'm gonna do is when I click left shift, we're gonna add speed, and then when they stop clicking it, I'm gonna decrease the speed. So the way context action server can do this is we can look at the state. So we just look at the state and see if they just started clicking it. Whoops. And then once they do that, we can I'm not gonna set it directly because we're gonna add a crouch, and the crouch is also gonna decrease, and it's just gonna be really weird. So we're just gonna make it easy on ourselves and just add speed to it. And it's actually good practice for us if we have a concept for it. So shift, I guess sprint speed gain, and we want to increase your speed by 8. and then we're gonna do the same thing but in reverse. We're gonna subtract that. Okay, and also there's multiple states, so you want to make sure that it is the ending state. Okay, so this in itself should work, but I want to make them start out a little bit slower, so I'm just gonna set that myself to probably like 12. Okay, so let's test this. And then yeah, they can sprint. You click shift. So that's awesome. And you see it still doesn't even play the walk animation. And we're gonna dissect that later in the next section. Okay, next up we will actually be having this sort of place to add in our walk and run animation. So this will be a little bit scary if you just started out scripting, but we will open this monstrosity of script, and we will, and even though it looks intimidating, we actually just want to look at one specific section, and that is the on running function. So if you feel like you don't know where that is, you can just control F, and then we're just gonna look up on running. And you see there's only two sort of instances of where this is. And we're just gonna look at where this is defined. So we go and to here, and this function, if you read the animate script, this function runs every time the player changes like their speed. Now this is important because when they change their speed, the animate script changes their animation to idle or to walking. But as you can see, there is no running. It just walks. This is just running. The pose is just running. The pose is just standing. We need to add a whole other pose for this. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna add first. What we're gonna add is a speed threshold. Now you could add like the speed threshold like as a variable, but we want to kind of copy the sort of like pattern that the script has and have it as a number value under the script. And the reason why is because with this we can modify the speed threshold in other scripts without using like bindable events, and that is really good. So I'm just gonna rename this to something more professional, which is speed threshold. I think that's spelled P twice. Whoops. it's not right. Okay, so speed threshold. Now we're gonna reference that. So speed threshold instance, and this is right under the script. And then on the actual function, we will I guess we can do this after. And this stuff right here, if you're confused about this, it's just like if you it's like a character controller that I think is like it doesn't require a human node or something. I don't know, it's something weird. It's like physics related. But if you want a video on that, I can do it. But right now we are not too worried about that because it won't even, like, we're not even on that. Okay, so we're gonna use the speed. We're gonna actually access the value. And the reason why we do it here is because, let's say a script modifies the value. We want to know what that value is changed to at runtime, so when this function runs. Okay, now once we know that, oh, there's already a speed threshold. Okay, so let's just call it run threshold. And I don't feel like changing the name, so it's just that. Okay, so the main thing we are looking at is this, right? This is our run. Okay, it says running, but it's like it's playing the walk animation. So this isn't good. We're gonna add our own if statement, and we're gonna see if their speed is above the run threshold, then we are gonna play a separate animation. So I'm gonna actually quiz you. I'm gonna say, okay, if this speed is above the run threshold, should I run or should I walk? And if it's below, should I run or should I walk? And it should be, you should be running if your speed is above threshold. So what we're gonna do is the pose remains unchanged, and we're gonna add a new pose. You're gonna see where this is affected later. We're gonna add a new pose. We're gonna call it walking. Now this is new. If you control F, this is like the only instance of this ever. So this is completely new. And instead of playing the walk animation for the running, we're gonna play the run animation. And now a thing that the animate script does is it uses the pose kind of like it checks every like 0.1 seconds, and it's gonna play that animation that the pose is. So we're just gonna look at kind of where the pose is evaluated, and it's right here. It's on the step animate function. And if you look at where the step animate is, it's in the while loop. So as you can see, it kind of checks the pose iteratively, and it changes to the animation if it's not already there. So as you can see, look at this line 887, pose equals running. It plays the walk animation. What is Roblox? Okay, now obviously if we go to under the animate script, the run thing is right here. Okay, so we're gonna change this to run. We're gonna change that to run, and then we're gonna add another. We're just gonna copy that and add another else if, and change that pose to walking, the one we just made. And then we're gonna change, instead of run, we're gonna use the old one. We're gonna use walk. Okay. Also, another thing to note: this number 0.2, that is the transition time. It literally it helps us. It says transition time. We can modify this value if you want to make that transition smoother, and it's actually what I did in the showcase I did. So I can make oh, actually no, you don't want to modify this one. You want to modify the other transition. Wait, in the running, in the on running, you want to modify this transition time. So you see how it's 0.2, you see how it's 0.2, and you want to modify this one because this one is the one that changes. Like it's the one that actually like kind of runs it when the speed goes above or below walking or idle. So we're gonna change that to 3 because I think 3 looks kind of nice. And we actually have to modify one more thing, and that is the play animation, because you might be wondering that, oh, that's weird. It was playing the walk animation, but that was the run animation. And the reason why is because Roblox, yeah, look. It says what? It says if the animation, okay, on this function switch to anim on line 603, it says if anim name is walk, then we're just gonna play the run animation. And the reason they do this is because they have like their own smoothing thing to transition from walk to run, but this can only happen if you have like keyframes, and I don't really want to do that. If you guys want a video on that, I can do it, but right now we're just gonna focus on the simple stuff that anyone can like do. Okay, so we're gonna do, if the animation is walk, let's just let's not play the run animation, just play this to the walk animation. And this should be, I think this should be everything that we need to change. So let's just run this and hope for the best. If not, we will debug this. Okay, so well, that's not the it's not the run, and I mean that's not the walk animation. So first, the first stages, let's check our walk anim and see if it's actually different. Okay, it is. Now the next step is to look at the running and see if that is the right. Maybe our speed threshold thing is wrong, so let's just running, and then let's do this to walking. Let's test that. Oh, I don't think I actually added. Okay, if don't do the mistake when you make the speed threshold actually add a value to it. So let's go to the property, and okay, let's work this out. If the walking speed is set to 12, and when they run they gain 8, let's just make it 14 for it to run. Okay, so now let's run this. We are walking, nice, and then we're running. See, that is using kind of Roblox's animate script, and it's awesome. Now you might be noticing that my feet are sliding. Yeah, in real life, this is not something that you want. And wait, where is it? Actually, no, it doesn't matter. But you see how my feet are sliding? That is not good. We don't. That looks gross. And this is something that you can fix by adjusting the speed. But how do we do that? What if we have like a million walk animations and we only have one sort of way to change the speed? This is where modules are kind of like a godsend. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a module. We're gonna have all the sort of speeds that we want the animation to have, and we're gonna have to store that on the module. And that is so we put less work on the animators, so they don't have to like adjust the speed manually and re-upload it. We can just change it whenever we want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go replicate storage. I'm gonna make a folder. I'm gonna call it modules, and then I'll make another one. I'm gonna call it constants, and then I'm gonna make a module script, and I'm gonna call it animation scales. Now for this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the asset ID of sort of the walk animation that we have, and then we're gonna have a custom scale to this. So okay, if we look at the animate script, we see that the scale is being divided by the set and by kind of the set animation. So this is inversely related, the speed and the scale. So we want to make sure we make that kind of apparent in the script in case someone else reads it. So we'll say scale and speed is inversely related. One goes up, the other goes down. So that means if we want it to move faster, we increase the scale. No. If you want it to move faster, we decrease the scale. Okay. So right now the default is 16. And if we want it to move faster than that, we will have to make it go less than 16. So I think 8 might be good. Okay. So how do we actually put this in? So first we have to reference the actual module. So go to animation scales and then reference the replicated storage, and then that way we can just require it like that. And then we go back to our running script, and then on scale, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sort of like index the animation that we have, and the animation ID that we have for run is this one right here. So run.run anime. So script.run anime, and then we want the animation ID, and this will sort of get this value, right? If it exists. If it doesn't exist, we want to use 16. How do we do that? We do that by using the conditional or. If this returns nil, it will use 16. If it doesn't, then it will use this value. That is what it means. And you want to do the same thing for walking. So we're going to change that to walk, and then walk anime. And that should fix our little sliding problem. So you see that the animation is much faster and it doesn't look like I'm sliding on ice. And when I'm running, that looks fine. I think I can make that faster too, but I'm gonna keep it like that. Okay, success! If you have followed along, you have created a walk and run animation. And yes, okay. But if you're not satisfied, if you still want to include the tools here with the script, keep watching. But if not, you're done. Okay, awesome. Now let's start adding these tools. So the spear and the shield. Because this is what every game wants. We want to have stuff you control. Instead of spear, we want swords. We want stuff. We want stuff other than just fist. Okay, so how should we do it? Well, we copy what our rig already has. So you see how we have the spear, we have the shield. The only difference is that instead of connecting to the rig's part, we connect to the player's part. So how do we do this? How should we put that in lines of code? So first, let's start step by step. Let's first create a script in script service, and I'm gonna just call it tool adder. But what do we want? We want the player, okay? How do we get the player? We can get it. We can first get it, the player, when it gets added to the game. So we will make an on-player added function. And then with the player, we can get when the character is added. But I've had problems with adding things onto the character and it gets deleted because like Roblox is like applying accessories and they freaking start deleting crap. So what we have to do instead of character added, this is a weird one. We have to use character appearance loaded. I'm gonna just check that type checking is right. Character appearance loaded. Okay. This will fire when the character's appearance is fully loaded and it won't delete our stuff. That's what we want. And we're gonna connect that to a function we make. So on character appearance loaded, and then we have the character as the model, and then we're gonna connect that. Okay, that is good. Now what is the step? The step is to add these models. Now to easily reference these models, let's put these in a folder, or let's put these in replicated storage. Okay, so we're gonna copy these two and we're gonna make a separate folder called assets. And this is good practice that you organize your game when you think you'll have multiple objects of something. So in my game, we're gonna have multiple tools, and in my game also we're gonna have multiple sort of skins for the spears and for the shields. So we're gonna have that, and we're gonna paste that and make sure they're in the correct spot. So nice. So that is completely organized, completely professional. And let's go back to our server script, and then let's actually reference these models. So let's go to replicate storage, and then let's go to assets, and let's go one step down, go tools. Okay, let's actually, since we're doing this twice, let's make a function to add the tool for us so we don't repeat ourselves twice. So let's make a function called add tool, and then we're gonna reference also, we want to pass the model, the character, and then we also want to pass the tool that we want copied. So we're gonna make a new tool, which we're gonna clone, and then what we want to change, if we go to the spear, actually I'm not sure if it deleted it. Oh, it did. Okay, this is bad. What we want, because this offset of the shield and the spear, if you remember doing that, is saved in the Motor 60. If we don't have that, it's impossible for it to like be correctly animated. So we're gonna copy the sort of Motor 60 that Moon Animator made for the spear, and then we're gonna copy that, and then we're gonna place this in the associated model. So this is the spear, and this might be here. Okay. Also, I think in the previous section, it wasn't in the spear. It was like in the thing, the limb it was welded to. So I think for you it might be here, but you want to get that, and you want to put that in the actual spear thing it is. And you can name it whatever you want. You can name it handle. You can name it I guess the name of the part. It doesn't matter because in the script we're gonna it's gonna be it's gonna be this ambiguous. Like it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that we have that, we want to make sure that the part 0 is not this rig. We're gonna cancel that, and the way we do that is we click on it and then we click the X. So that way it's not associated with this hand anymore. And then we do the same thing with the shield. So we go over to the shield and we copy the Motor 60 and we place it in the shield's kind of part. And then we go to part 0 and we disassociate it with this rig because we want to make it into our own like separate characters. Okay, so now that we have that, we can sort of access this joint that it has, and what we make a new variable for that, and we can find it with this cool function called find first child, which is a Motor 60, because Motor 60 is the joint that is going to be connecting to the character. Okay, so we have this, and you might be wondering, what's if this is searching only to find like if it's a class, how is it going to do that if it's like under another part? And the way we can make it search the whole model is the second argument, which we can make true. So with this, it will copy or clone the tool, and the this line will find this motor 60 right here. So it doesn't matter the name because we're not looking for a name. We're looking for the class. Okay. So now that we have that, we want to make part 0 part of the character's limb. But how do we know what limb it is, right? Because these two tools are connected to two different limbs. So how do we know? And the way we can do that is we can make an attribute and call it have a string that is the name of the limb we want it to connect to. So, for example, I have these two motor 60s selected, and on attribute, I'm gonna click plus, and then I'm gonna do like limb name. I think that's a good one. So limb name, and then for the spear, I just have the spear joint selected. The spear was connected to the right hand, so I'm gonna type that out, right hand. And then for the shield, it was connected on the left lower arm. You want to make sure you type that out exactly how it is in the rig. For R6, it's gonna have a space in it. It's gonna be like left arm, left space arm. But for R15, everything is like together. Okay. So how do we reference the attribute? Is we get the handle, and then we do get attribute, and then we call it limb name or whatever we called it. And then the limbs are always inside the character, so it will be character, and then we do find first child, so our script doesn't error in case something goes wrong. And then we set the tool to the character, the new tool. And that is all pretty much it. Now what we have to do is we have to first add the spear that we made. So our tool is, well, that tricked me. So two spears, and then we just named it spear. And then we also have shields and shield. Now it's gonna add these two. Look, that looks nice. If we abstract away from this, it looks readable. Like you add tool, we add it to character, we add it to it's just readable. Okay, so if we play this, it should work. Let's see. Oh, I forgot. That's probably like angry or something. If we go here, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, I forgot the part 1. It's because since I copied and pasted the motor 60, you also have to make sure the part 1 is kind of the part of the replicated storage one, not the rig. So I think that's what happened. So I'm gonna switch those. Oh, isn't that nice? And then if we run, we also have that kind of like nice thing. Okay, awesome. Now, that is it for the section. The next one will be adding the crouch. So adding two separate sets of a walk animation and a run animation. Because if you just set the animation ID in the anime script, it's not gonna work. It's gonna be delayed. It's just not gonna look good. So I'm gonna teach you how to do that. Okay, now for the final section of this tutorial is adding or switching the walk and run animation, making it look clean. Okay, so first, before we get into the clean part, let's actually make the switching animation work. So for me, I have my folder of the animation sets that I want to switch out, and I'm gonna add a new folder, and that's just called animations. So I'm gonna put these under here, and I'm gonna just name it something more formal. So Spartan crouch and Spartan default. Okay, and these you also the way I have these organized is the name of these animation things are the same kind of lowercase as the animate script. So you want to keep that in mind in case you make like another jump or another fall animation, you want to make sure that the name is precise. And the reason why is because we will script this more nicely. Okay, let's get to it. So in my input handler, I'm gonna add a function, and this function will change the animation set. So change animation set, and we want to, our first parameter is the character modified. I guess it doesn't really matter because it's a local script, but so then we do animation folder, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna loop through the animation folder, get all these animations, and animation folder, we'll get the children. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the name, and then we're gonna associate it with the animate script here. So the animate script is in the character. I'm gonna just reference that animate script, and I'm gonna wait for it because you never know. And then so we're gonna have the animate script, and then we're gonna access kind of the sort of name it has. So anim name dot name, and then we want to loop through these because as you can see, the auto animation has two. You can kind of modify the function in case you have like multiple, but so far this has I want just to change like the whole item, and the way we do that is we loop through this thing, so the children inside there, and to change gets the naming gets kind of tricky. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change the animation ID to the animation ID that is in the folder we want. So we're changing we're looping through all of these animations, and then we're setting it to these. I mean, we're setting these to the animation folders that it's being looped through, if that makes sense. Okay, so for mine, crouching is kind of the same as the sprint. What it's going to be its own function. It's going to be crouch function. So crouch, I guess I'm going to it's called crouch input. And I'm also make a crouch speed loss. And then I'll make that yeah, I think that's fine. And then I'll make a new, I'm gonna bind it to this. Oh, I didn't realize I named it spring. But it's a crouch, and then let's associate this to function, and then let's make it when you press C. So when you press C, the walk speed should decrease. It should decrease by however much we had it set there, and then we're gonna increase it back to its normal state once they stop crouching. Now, this is where we actually use the function we made. So we're gonna use the function, and we're gonna reference the sort of folder we want it to change to. So first, we want to make sure that it is a variable that we can really use. So I'm just make a variable for assets, and then also make a variable for animations. And that way it doesn't look as cluttered here. So we're gonna change it to the animation of the Spartan crouch, and then once they stop holding the crouch button, we will have it go back to the default. Okay, and let's just go over this function one more time. So it's going to the animate script, which is this one right here, the Roblox one, and it's looping through the folder that we gave it, which is the one in replicate storage. And then it's getting the name of these and finding its kind of respective folder in the animate script, and it's looping through all the animation instances here, and it's changing the ID to kind of the one that is in the folder. So that is nice. I'm not too happy about the name I picked here, but I don't really want to think about it too much. Let's play test. So this is nice. Let's press C. Oh no, I misspelled. It's supposed to be capital I, animation B. So let's press C, and then let's stop pressing C. And you see, when I stop, it kind of, you press the crouch button and it only kind of happens um when you make a new movement. And that's not really responsive. Like, I want to press the button and I want to be in the crouch. And that's what we're gonna change. So let's do it. In this one, the anime script is actually really close to it. What we're gonna do is first, let's look at the, I think it's play animation. We're gonna look at that function. Oh, and it's actually, I guess it's, oh no, it's the switch to anim. Okay, and this one, this fires every time kind of the a new what is it, a new movement is switched, or like a new pose is rendered. It always goes to this, and it checks if kind of it's already playing that animation. If it's already playing that animation, it doesn't want to do anything else. It doesn't want to transition to that other animation. But the way it doesn't check the animation ID. It just checks if it's the animation instance. So if it's like a separate animation. But for example, if you have a walk, I mean, if you have the normal idle and then you switch to the crouch idle, it's gonna be a different animation ID, but it's not checking for animation ID. It's just checking if it's the same pose. So this is what we're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to change. But first, we're gonna get the current animation ID, and we're gonna set it. We're gonna get that animation ID through right here. So our current animation ID is the anim.animation ID. And then what we will do is we will check if the animation ID that was given to us is the same as our current animation ID. And if it's different, then we can actually switch it. Okay, awesome. So let's play. And you see it doesn't quite work. And the reason why is that when we change the animation ID, no function is updated, or no, it doesn't run it doesn't run this function when we switch the animation ID. So we also have to run this when it switches. But how do we do that? How do we find out when it switches? And thankfully, the anime script actually kinda already does this, and it's in the upper part. It's on line 319. When one of the animation instances is modified, it reconfigures the animation set. Now this is very important because right here inside this function, we can also re-update the animation that is currently playing. And what I found that works really well is, instead of doing play animation and figuring out like, oh, the pose, if the pose is walking, it has to play walk. Instead of doing all that, we already have a function that does all that logic for us. And it is the on running function. Now for speed, what is the speed that we put in? The speed we can get from the velocity of kind of the player. So what we can do is we can get the character, we can get the primary part, and get the assembly linear velocity. And since the speed is a number, we want to get the magnitude. And that is all we need. You're gonna play test. We press C. It works. It works. We're idle, and we're crouching and uncrouching, and it works. But as you can see, there's one minute detail. If you want it to be really responsive, you want the crouch to happen almost instantly. Now, how should we do that? What we can do is we can feed it sort of another argument and have an override sort of transition time. So for my custom, I mean overridden transition time, I want to put like less than 0.1 of a second. So now we have to actually add this functionality. So let's do an over. I forgot to spell that. Let's just do override transition. And then we do the same thing we did here. If this is nil, we just use 0.3. If it's not, we use the overridden. And we put these for every single one. It's kind of ugly, but it's what I found that works. So now let's go back and let's press C, and you see how instant that is. That is responsive, and it just works. Like it's awesome. And you see I have a little bit of foot sliding here, and we fixed this problem. We have an animation scales module to sort of modify the speeds without re-uploading the animation. So we can fix that right now. The crouch, run and walk. Okay, also for if you want, like for mine, the crouch and walk, run and walk animation is the same. In case you wanted to know how to do that, you just make it same animation ID. We can copy the animation ID here and also make it faster. I guess we can make it as fast as the regular walk animation here. So let's see. And you see it's not sliding anymore. It's not as prevalent. You see that is smooth and it's responsive. We can, I mean, we don't have to make it this responsive. We can make it, tone it down, but that is it. We did basically what almost all the scripting forums that I've been to. It's always this question: how do we make sort of our own custom animation tools and kind of have them be playable? So yes, we've done it. We've done it. This is professional. This is what I use on my own game, on my own Sword Art Online game. If you want to check it out, it's called Beats Eye Online. It might go back in development. But yes, if you guys want to see kind of I made these animations myself, and of course they're not the best, but these models I've also made myself. So if you want a tutorial on those, I got you. And also, what I think is really cool is when the tool is dynamic. So if I were to have sort of like an ability where I can throw the spear, I have to do a sort of like an own like a function for that. So if you guys want to see that, I can also make a tutorial on that, because I'll be working on that for a new game I'm making. And also, if you guys want to see anything that I've talked about before, like the transitioning, making it a bit more smoother with the keyframes, then I also can make a video. Just request it if you need to. But other than that, hopefully you guys learned something new. This is kind of something that I wanted to make a tutorial for you guys, but also something that you guys, I mean, there's not really too many tutorials that are this and that, so hopefully I can fix a lot of that where I struggled with a lot in the past. So yeah, I wish you guys see you soon, but take care and peace.